this is the chart of Bitcoin, right? So we're going to quickly cover a little Bitcoin, then we'll jump back to some stocks out there. But what I want to show you here is, again, there's a tendency to understand how to read charts, and I want you guys to become better and better at this. And so what we have here, guys, you can see how here was a green candle. This was on the XRP news, right? The SEC judges ruling mainly against the SEC for Ripple, and we saw the reversal the next day. When you see a reversal of a move, I don't care if it's down, up, or up, down in a candles chart, that is a very bearish reversal. Or in this case, it's bearish reversal, right? So here we had an up candle, and then the very next candle, we went right down to the downside. All right, so right back down here, guys. Again, when you reverse, the faster you reverse a move in its entirety, the more negative it is. So let's jump ahead here. Looking down here, guys, here you had an up candle, right? And here it took 2 candles to reverse. Is that bullish or bearish? Well, this was the most bearish, right? When it reverses on 1, it's the most bearish. When it reverses on 2, it's still bearish. It's just not quite as bearish. Take it into a situation like this. You have an up move, and then what if it goes like this? And this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 candles. That's a lot less bearish. In fact, that's a bull flag, or in spirit of bull flag. So what you want to pay attention to is if a move reverses, how fast does it reverse? And you gauge the bullishness or bearishness of that based on how fast it reverses. All right. So that's an interesting little tidbit that I wanted to just show you guys here. And again, let's just jump back here real quick. So a couple other things I want to talk about with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just struggling right now. It's still a negative bias based on the reversal we saw. It's still hovering in this lower range. And let me just zoom out here a little bit. All right, so what we know here, and again, just going over this chart here, we know that this is a pivot support, which are essentially we're at right here. Then we have support and support. Now, I will say this. The negativity in Bitcoin is starting to get to a level where it almost makes me start being short-term bullish. Now, we're not there yet, but I will say this, is that the bearishness amongst investors is basically at an unparalleled level, in my opinion, during this cycle. Like, the fact that we reversed the BlackRock news, the Ripple news, and the news on Grayscale, that has broken the will of a lot of investors in Bitcoin. That's what I want to see to start getting maybe a little bullish. Now, it doesn't mean I don't think there's still some downside. I still do think that. But on a swing trade basis, I'm starting to pay attention to that negativity, and it makes me be the opposite in more of a bullish nature. So, for instance, if we were to float down to 20, let's just say we get to 20, I would almost say if we went like this, I'm going long. I'm actually going to go long here. Now, again, is this going to be a hodl position or a swing trade? Right now, swing trade, because I need to reevaluate. I have to keep an eye on the stock market. You guys know my thesis for us actually breaking these lows is tied to the U.S. stock market rolling over in a major way. All right, so that's something I wanted to show you guys, but just be aware that sentiment is very, very important, but it's very hard to gauge. I've been doing this for 24 years, and I've barely got a handle on gauging sentiment. Sentiment is very hard. I use social media to my advantage. All right, when I tweet something negative out there, if I get a lot of people agreeing with me and no one bashing me, you know what? That makes me actually think more bullishly. And you can use it when you have a big following, you can actually use it. When I tweet something bearish and everyone attacks me, it makes me more bearish. By the way, right up here. All right, I was saying 31, 32,000 wasn't going to go, and I got crushed. Anytime I tweeted about this, I got crushed. It made me right? I mean, it basically made me say, okay, I'm probably going to be correct on this. So just things to think about. I just want you guys to be aware of this stuff. All right.
JP Morgan has provided an analysis of the risks of de-dollarization and the potential for the Chinese yuan to displace the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. The global investment bank says the renminbi could assume some of the current functions of the dollar among non-aligned countries and China's trading partners. Bloomberg Intelligence's senior commodity strategist Mike McGlone has predicted that the price of Bitcoin could follow the path of the Nikkei, which reached a 33-year high in June. He highlighted that the largest crypto has had a close directional relationship with the Nikkei 225. Bitcoin ETF is inevitable, says former SEC chairman. A growing number of large institutions vouch for the legitimacy of spot Bitcoin ETFs. Unusual SEC move in case against Binance. Confidential details are hidden from public view amidst Binance's legal tensions. Let's continue our discussion with Gareth Soloway.
Let's jump over to this chart right here. So basically what we have going on, this is the pre-market data, and I want to just show you guys, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, because what we just saw was the market starting to propel back upwards. So here was your pre-market, right? Initially, we were down sharply. We rallied back. We started to fall back down. And then look at this green intraday. This is a 10-minute candle. Now, what ended up happening here is a Fed president named Waller, last name Waller, came out and started talking a little dovishly. All right, now, again, I didn't listen into what he says. To be honest, I don't care. What tells me the keys here is the reaction. It's always in the price action. Price action is truth. Interpretation can be different. Always remember that. All right, so the pop right here is taking us. We're still slightly negative on the day in the futures before the S&P opens, but I did want to bring this to your attention, and I want to show you why the markets are rallying. So all you have to do here is flip over to the U.S. dollar. Here's the U.S. dollar chart, and let's take a look. Basically, look at what happened. We were rallying up on the dollar, right? So as we were getting into the action this morning before this Fed president spoke, we were seeing the markets kind of, or the dollar starting to rally higher, and we know that markets go inverse to the dollar. So when the dollar moves up, U.S. markets, or generally the stock market, moves down. What happened was we basically had this pivot top and a decline in the U.S. dollar. And again, that's the key here, folks, is that when we go back to the S&P chart, that is exactly what ended up flipping here, right? Look at this, and we're even starting to creep up a little bit more. Now, again, we're still slightly negative on the day, but any sort of Fed chatter, and notice this is the first day back from a 3-day weekend here in the U.S., and all of a sudden, the Fed is coming out. And you have to wonder this, and I'm just going to throw this out there, guys. Does the Fed know more than we do? Probably. Are they seeing things in the underbelly of the economy? Because I'm the first one to say that I don't think when a Fed president talks that it's just random. I don't think they're just spewing their random thoughts. I truly believe that there was a game plan here, a game plan that essentially had this Fed president on CNBC this morning talking to Steve Leisman and going over the key points that the Fed wanted to get across. What does that mean? It means the likelihood of a rate hike has now diminished and the markets are responding in kind, at least for now. Now, I'm in the camp that eventually what we're going to see is the economy is going to fall off a cliff. Now, I don't think we're going into a Great Depression yet. I think that's more for the 100-year cycle with 1929, if we go back there. We know the 100-year cycle, by the way. Interesting fact, the Spanish flu, 1918, right in that vicinity. We know in 2020, about 100 years later, we had COVID. So there is something to be said for the 100-year cycle. And ultimately, I do think that later on this decade, there will be hell to pay from the massive amounts of debt that the globe is taking on. Just nonstop debt. Eventually, you got to pay the piper. All right.
Don't forget to join us as we explore the unfolding events. Vitalik sells MKR after MakerDAO eyes Solana's codebase. MakerDAO's founder says Solana is the most promising codebase for its upcoming chain. Ethereum ETH is a commodity, says judge in Uniswap lawsuit. New York judge provides clarity on Ether's classification. According to Jonathan Lintella, the co-founder and CEO of Favor, the limited progress of the technology behind Web3 social media platforms is one of the reasons why prospective users are reluctant to try them out. Lintella also added that none of the current generation Web3 protocols are yet ready to support multi-million user levels. Dubai's Bybit cryptocurrency exchange has unveiled an artificial intelligence AI-powered instrument named Tradict. The new chatbot can scrutinize the exchange's existing market data and offer an in-depth price evaluation by employing Bitcoin's current metrics as an example. Furthermore, the Bybit chatbot can recommend app trading approaches for that day's sessions and provide additional crypto market knowledge based on real-time Bybit market data. And that concludes an insightful episode of Money KL Case. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more daily updates. Remember, knowledge is power, and we're here to empower you on your financial journey. Until next time, happy investing.